Hey y'all. I came across this Drew Barrymore video. Um, I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of Drew Barrymore. I only really remember her in Charlie's Angel, but I will say that she always been intriguing to me. So I had watched maybe like 2 minutes of this video, and there was a part in the video that interests me, which was the fact that he said that Drew Barrymore family has been famous for generations upon generations. And that really interests me because he even showed like a picture of like a few generations back of her family. So that really piqued my interest because, I really like to get to the nitty gritty, the underground world of these celebrities and stuff like that, because it's pretty crazy. Some of them have some extreme outlooks, and I do enjoy doing readings on celebrities because I had picked up on some crazy energies like Britney Spears. Before I did like a Britney Spears reading a long time ago, before I think she even went to court and everything. And a lot of things came up and it turned out to be accurate as fuck. So sometimes I'll be blowing my own fucking mind. But this is gonna be a segment like tarot and commentary because we're gonna be watching this video, and as it's going, I will be pulling some cards to get some deeper, to look a little deeper into things. So that's why I stopped it and now for the recording, and we're gonna watch it together and pull some cards and see what we find on like I'm really curious about Drew Barrymore family, her like how it operates because over the it haven't been years. It hasn't been years since I've been. It only been like maybe a year that I've been on YouTube, but maybe less than that. But um the time that I've been doing tarot readings on celebrities, I've been like doing individual readings on them gives you a view of a bigger not bigger purpose, but what is called a bigger outlook on what goes on in that realm. And I feel like it goes all the way back into like spirituality because I feel like there's a reason why you incarnate into certain families and have to live the life of a celebrity. Now, what we have been learning over the past few years is that celebrities, like, they wish that they have our lives. They wish that they have the simplicity of our lives a lot of times because they do have a lot of weight on their shoulders. For one, a lot of them are straight slaves. When I say straight slaves, like they don't have money that they own on their own. They will have like a house that the record company let them stay in as long as they with their record company. They will have like a car that the record company has purchased for them instead of giving them a check so they could purchase their own fucking car. You know what I'm saying? So they control these celebrity lives, and on the outside looking in, it looked like they living it up, but none of them really have like their own money. Like these record companies are kind of like their parents or something that give them allowances and then sit them at a table at the end of the day and tell them like, look, in your contract you got to cover this and this and this, and we doing all of this for you. So if you just get $100 check, we still, you got to remember that car that we gave you, that house that you living in and stuff like that. Like, but this is not stuff that you went out and picked on your own, you purchased with your own money. That's why when you do anything, don't do it for gifts. Get your own money. Tell them like, nah, just give me a check. I don't want this car. Give me the amount this car is made in a check. I mean, not made, but the amount of the cost of this car in a check instead. So yeah. Um, there was a theory that came up in one reading. I don't remember which one, but I was talking about how celebrities, a lot of them are trying to burn off karmic debt from they accumulated from other lives. And that's why they even in this position. But I think we're gonna tap into that as we get into the reading. So let's go ahead and start. Drew Barrymore, I want to look up her zodiac sign. She giving me strong Capricorn vibes. I want to say Cancer and Capricorn, but let's see. Oh, she's a Pisces. What a Cancer moon. She's a Pisces with a Cancer moon. She have her Mars in Capricorn. That's about it. And her Capricorn is in her eighth house. Mm. That give me a feeling like that Saturn in the eighth house. She might have some sexual abuse things or let's see.
Never truly had a
Oop.
childhood. By the age of 9, she was nightclubbing, smoking cigarettes, and drinking. She was smoking pot by the age of 10 and doing much harder drugs by the age of 12. Once she was 13 years old, she was checked into rehab, and a year later, she emancipated herself from her mother. Drew has gone through a lot in her life, and her trauma has made her the woman she is today. So let's get into it. In this video, we're going to be talking about the dark side of Drew Barrymore's childhood. But before we get into her life, let's talk a little bit about where she came from, because her family has been famous for decades. The Barrymores
The Barrymores. I want to ask some questions. Let's get a little bit into the Barrymores. Wait, not these cards. You know what? I might just go into the archetype cards. All right, give me some insight on the Barrymores. Tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. Came out reverse. I do get strong abuse. Ooh, look at this man back here. Look at his face. This child already looks traumatized. These cards pretty big for my hands, so tell me. They got a blank card. Tell me about the Barrymores. Oh, bully. It came out sideways. Oh. So when it comes out sideways, I take both attributes, highlights your tendency to intimidate others, helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. Shadow attribute conceals deep fears behind verbal or physical. It's a lot of abuse. Like this bloodline right here come from a long line of abuse, but not just any type of abuse. Like this bully energy kind of fit pretty perfectly of what I'm picking up on. Um, I feel like this family could be intimidating to like other people. Like they could have had got on top by intimidating people. I don't know. They might even have some ties to mafia or something. Is what I'm hearing, or some form of gang or something. They might have those type of ties. So this, I have not seen past this point right here. So if they talk about it, I have not seen it, but I do feel like this destroyer card want to come out. Oh, they have a very Egyptian way of looking at life. I gotta explain that because there'll be sometimes I'll be readings and it would give me a flash back to ancient Egypt and shit. And people don't even be knowing what I'm talking about. So let me explain. Egypt, they had a philosophy that rulers should be traumatized, like a pharaoh and a queen or whatever. They will go through these traumatic rituals because it was something about the personality of a traumatized person. They traumatize you to the point that you like cold hearted, to the point that you could like lead with an iron fist. They traumatize you to the point that you show certain characteristics that, today it would probably look like shell shock or something. But that's what they was looking for because they also wanted their rulers to be ruled by somebody. So a ruler will have like a personal assistant, and that personal assistant actually tell them what to think, tell them what to say, tell them what decisions they should make on the community. They actually the people that's in power because they uh I'm hearing like they could have been with the person for like all their life. And mm, so they want the ruler to be somebody that's easy to control. That's why they put them through this traumatic ritual because they want this person to be broken in a way that they will be easy to control and easy to dismiss. I'm hearing. Um, they have a philosophy like that in this. So, like, let's say that he felt like in order to have celebrity children or for them to even survive that world, they have to be introduced to trauma early to break them into it. So as they get older, they would just be used to it, desensitized to the trauma. It's like that. It's really sick, to be honest. Healer reverse. taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. Yeah. I'm also getting the fact that they could have taken orphans. Maybe even ones that they don't even show in pictures, like they don't allow these orphans to take pictures and stuff. But I feel like throughout their family, they got like people that they brought them in to seemingly take care of them, but they would actually like turn these people like into slaves or something. Advocate reverse. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Embracing negative causes are committing to causes for personal gain. Facts. This family got a dark history. I mean, um, on the outside, they might look like caretakers, like they might be the type to donate to charity and stuff to get a write off, but it's not just about the write off, it's about the image. So they will let people know, oh, we give to charity and we care for homeless people and orphans and stuff, but they actually got a sick intention behind it. Very sick. Yo, I'm even hearing prostitution. It's actually a card called prostitution in this. So if it comes out, then that's gonna be confirmation. But oh my motherfucking god, bitch. I'm not lying. I hope it was clear when I shuffle these motherfucking cards. Ooh, ooh. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Y'all seen it, right? I want to stop this shit and rewind it and see if y'all got me shuffling these cards. Let me see. Oh, hold on, that's better. It, y'all just gonna have to believe me, but I dead ass shuffle these cards. I dead ass shuffle these cards, bruh. Y'all seen it? The prostitution card came out. It came out reverse, I think. Places material considerations and security above self empowerment, bruh. Oh my goodness. Shit like that be creepy sometimes. Y'all see me shuffle those cards? I hope the cards was in view when I was shuffling it. I really do because y'all seen all that happen. So yeah, they have a thing. They are trafficking. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yo, my eyes starting to get watery, y'all. They are trafficking. Ooh, 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 ooh. They are motherfucking traffickers. I mean, I'm not really that surprised, because this is actually very common in that community or whatever. But just the fact that that happened like that, like Spirit want to tell Spirit, like, okay, let's give her this confirmation because she on track. She knows what she's talking about. Prostitution. Ooh, 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 ooh. This particular woman right here, I don't know who she is, maybe a grandmother, I don't know, but she been through a lot. See, y'all can't look at privileged people, especially now, and be like put them on a pedestal or think that they automatically happy because they got money and shit. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. Some of these people be praying for regular lives, but because of what they was born into, that's just not a possibility.
Barrymore family includes a lineage of Hollywood royalty.
The Barrymores in the 30s and the 40s were the most prominent acting family in Hollywood.
They were all famous people.
You seen that was young Drew Barrymore. She's actually very beautiful, but she was already starting to show signs of self-soothing.
Of the theater, and they were respected, and they were talented, and, you know, and they drank.
As you guys heard in that clip, Drew comes from fame, and she was destined to be a star. But they also talked about her family's drinking problem, and that's something she talks about quite often. Here's another interview clip where she brings up her family's drinking.
Do you think that because it ran in the family? Because, I mean, there were generations of Barrymores who were keen on the drink.
Yeah, my whole family was definitely, they were all drinkers, and they abused it. And they say it's hereditary, and I'm sure it is because I have a long list of it.
I also agree with Drew that probably some of her family's drinking problems are hereditary. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but it doesn't help that she started her career.
I wouldn't say hereditary, because when you think of hereditary, you think of like, oh, it's in your DNA, it's in your blood, but it's built into their family system because it's a way for them to escape, to soothe themselves from the trauma in this family. So that's why it carries out. But they say that, I feel like it's more of a generational curse than it actually being like a thing that's in your DNA. It's a generational curse.
Career in Hollywood at the age of 11.
And, you know, they know that. Like, people who's like in control and stuff of this reality right here, they know that. But they give certain scientific names to really spiritual ailments, because they don't want people to be spiritual, because tapping into your spirit will set you free. They want you to be mental so that you could get lost in their beliefs and stuff like that they create for you to get lost in.
11 months.
Both have special nutritional needs. That's why a baby should have his very own baby food, and why a puppy should have his very own puppy food.
That's you right there, right? You were 11 months old. Now, there's no way you can remember doing it.
That was my first job.
She was not even a year old when she appeared in a dog food commercial. The dog actually nipped her while she was on set for that commercial, but she was a good sport about it. And a few years later, she was hired to be in the movie E.T.
I never watched this movie, y'all. I never watched E.T. ever in my life.
At the age of 7 years old, Drew was working and living in West Hollywood. But that same year, in 1982, she was also hired to be on SNL, and she was the youngest person to ever guest host on the show.
I'm sorry, guys. I just got the word. No bad stuff or violence on this show.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Drew was always successful in her career, but she did have a personal downfall, and I believe that personal downfall started at the ripe age of 7 years old. She was already such a big hit in Hollywood, and she was hanging around some pretty big celebrities, and she was also hanging out at spots like Studio 54. This is a club in New York City that is popular to elites and known to have a bunch of shady and sketchy things go down, like a lot of drug use and intimacy happening in the club. So it's not a place for children, yet Drew was there often.
Who gave you your first drug, for goodness?
Who the fuck was that man with his arm around her? If that shit ain't her daddy, it's sketchy. Let's see here what we could get about Area 51. Oh, my bad. Club 42. Whatever club they was just talking about, man. What the fuck? I'm bad with names, man. I'm really bad with names. Whatever club they was just talking about. I got a bomb ass memory though. Like, my memory is like on point, but Sometimes these names though be I can't. So anyways, it's you the situation card. Area 52. Something that club. Okay. What would go on with that club with Drew Barrymore there? She had a drink in her motherfucking hand and a grown ass man with his arms around her waist. This shit should not have came. Oh, hell, motherfucking no, bitch. Hold on. Hell, motherfucking no. Ooh, dirty little secret down low. Oh, bitch. Yo. I dead ass think they was pimping her little ass like when she was a kid. Damn, bitch. Look at this. It was some really sick shit that went on in that club with kids. With this card, I'm getting that there could have been a dispute about this, like over Drew Barrymore and specifically. Like somebody could have been like spoke up about it, like or was threatened to reveal it, or came to, or but that's like only one time though. Like there's somebody out there that knows in details because they had caught a certain situation like in the middle of the act, and I felt like they did something about it. Like they either stopped it or they said something about it or threatened to say something about it, but they intervened. But with the others involved, I feel like this was a common thing for them predators to be in that club preying on young kids, getting them drunk and high. She wasn't the only one, but I felt like she was fetishized a lot by these Hollywood people. Damn, this shit is sick. Yo, I'm telling you, this is in a bloodline. There's a long history in her bloodline about this. And look, ain't that Egypt dude? I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. They operate like that, like the Egyptians. And the Egyptians had a lot of fucked up ways. They might be able to even like they might even have all their history. Like her family could have a book or something that goes back into Egyptian times of their bloodline. It might change from Barrymore to something else, like the surname or whatever. But she have other roots and connections. Like I feel like her family, she could come from like old money. in a sense, like way older than those pictures, but the surname could have changed at some point. I feel like she might even be aware of this. Like she aware of another side of her family. They have a different last name, and but she know the history of them because it been told to her, and I don't think that she talk about it too often, not with just interviewers and shit like that. But with this retaliation, let's get some clarity on the retaliation. This is just an information card, but I still use this in divination. When I get this card, it's letting me know that some type of information is being revealed. So this stuff might just come out, to be real. Like the intervention, somebody who either seen somebody abusing Drew and said something about it. Like somebody might come out and speak about this or something. All right, let's continue.
As I said then, they were friends, but they weren't really friends. And to me, it just seemed normal. All the people I were around did it, and I thought it was a way of life that was just normal to be living.
But I mean, the people you were around weren't the same age as you. They weren't.
No, I always had older friends. I was always with a much very advanced older crowd from when I was about 6.
So like Drew said, by the age of 6 years old, she was hanging out in clubs with older gentlemen surrounded by drinks and cigarettes and drugs and so much more. When it comes to Drew's mother, she was never there to protect Drew. Her name is Jade Barrymore, and she's a celebrity herself. And Drew shares that whenever she would go to the clubs at the age of 6 or 7, she could dance around on the tables and pretty much do whatever she wanted.
Dancing on tables at Helena's and Studio 54 and Limelight and every club on the planet and partying it up, doing whatever I wanted whenever I wanted.
Because Jade threw Drew into the spotlight, she had no other choice but to grow up rather quickly. And they did an interview with Oprah, and Oprah asked Drew about her childhood, and this is what she had to say.
That you grew up too soon.
At first, I really didn't know the difference. I was like 6 years old, hanging out with a bunch of 25-year-olds. I liked being around older people. I felt like I could relate to them better.
Why?
Just because they were more experienced. You know, I didn't want to go off and play Barbies. I wanted to go out to a club and dance.
I don't even think that she was sober. Her or her mama was sober during that interview.
That she enjoyed hanging out with these older people and these celebrities, and she liked learning from them. But again, she really had no choice at the end of the day. And as a little kid, you really don't know what you like. It looks like she only had one option, and that was to be famous. And I really believe that a lot of crap went down when she was hanging out in these clubs with these older producers and people like that. I find this image really haunting because it's of a 7-year-old Drew, and she's in the arms of an SNL producer at 3 a.m. leaving a club in New York City. Why is a 7-year-old out here hanging out with these producers? Where is her mother at?
Let me ask about this particular situation right the fuck here. What is going on in this situation right the fuck here? I'm just flipping cards over because they throw my shuffling off because they facing the wrong way. So come on. Too many cards. Ooh, I'm struggling. All right. What's going on right the fuck here? Signifies a man on a 30, cool, unemotional nature, a sensuous person who stresses the physical side of life, worldly and jaded. Life holds no surprises for this person. Attractive, well dressed, he might deceive you. Is not as he appears. Do not trust this man with your heart. He will break it. And the way that he just carry her out like this, and people are taking pictures, and he don't even give a fuck. It's almost like this is so common, like for them to do this. Now I get the energy, like he purchased her. Like I get that energy for real. What's going on right here? Oh, wow. Yeah, I was, because when I was shuffling, I was feeling the energy of almost like he felt like he had a relationship with her. Like almost like he's seen her as like his girlfriend or something. He might have even been like fun to be around. Like her staying the night at his house and stuff, but he kind of like coerced her into things to make her seem like it was okay. I don't know if I should get too detailed with this or not, because I am seeing shit and it's fucked up. See? He was even looking into the future as if he was having like a relationship with this little ass girl. And I felt like people knew. And I felt like he paid good money for this. Or some type of deal or something. But I'm feeling like an obsession. Like I almost felt like he was obsessed with this little girl. Only when she's a little girl. He might have even stopped being interested in her when she got older. But during this time right here, during this picture, I felt like it wasn't love, but he felt almost like they was in a relationship. Attractive, prone to jealousy and mood swings, unfaithful in love, not. See, yeah, I felt like when she started to get older, he stopped getting interested. But I feel like this is so, like, in that world, it ain't nothing to see this. I'm also getting a feeling like in that world, they don't feel like they live by the same rules or standards or even laws and government as like everyday people. So there could be a fetish in that community of being a pedophile, but they had normalized it within the community. Some of them even are into certain religions or whatever that justify their pedophilia. I'm picking up on a particular religion that is old. It might not be that well known of, but within it, they actually see pedophilia as a good thing, like a maybe I'm hearing like a sense of purity or something. Like it's some type of religion around it. And this is not common to everyday people, but I feel like this is something that's common in that community, like of rich and famous people. Nobody say anything about it because it is what it is. It's common. That's crazy as fuck.
Surrounded by alcohol and drugs, and this news clipping has been authenticated, so we know it's 100% legit, and a 7-year-old Drew was out here partying in New York City with all of these SNL producers and staff. Here's a clip from Drew's interview with Oprah, and Oprah pretty much talks about what she's heard about Drew, and she shares how mature she's heard Drew is.
I know adults who've met you who say that, you've never been 8. That, you always hung out with adults, talked to adults, and really had a lot of adult friends.
There's something off about Oprah. I don't know what it is necessarily, but I kind of want to make a video about her. So if you guys want that, here's my email. Hit me up if you have any receipts about Oprah. But there are a ton of pictures of Drew with older men, and it's definitely questionable what she was doing with all of these old guys. But in that interview with Oprah, Drew talks a little bit about the first time that she really started drinking, and here's what she had to say.
So you started drinking at 9? Mm-hmm. To prove a point, or to feel good, or to get drunk, or what?
Well, I didn't really know. I mean, when I was 8, I had 2 glasses of champagne. And boom, I was like tipsy and, bubbly and the life of the party. And I felt so good. All my problem had seemed, to disappear for that hour that I was out of it.
So that was the beginning of Drew's alcohol addiction, and Oprah was asking some pretty good questions during this interview. Like, where did Drew get this alcohol? And she shares that she was invited to these events because she was part of the Hollywood crew, so she would be invited, and it was good publicity for the bars that would let her in, which again doesn't really make sense to me, because why would these adults who are on set of a show or a movie want a little kid hanging out around them?
Where would you get alcohol from at 9?
Oh, parties, friends, bars, clubs.
What were you doing at bars at 9?
A lot of the time it was for parties that I was invited to. A lot of the time I would walk up and they would be like, oh, it's little Drew Barrymore. Come right in, good publicity,
I've been getting paid $1,000.
Oprah does question Drew's mother, like, where were you? Like, what were you doing? What type of mother are you? And here's what she had to say.
And where were you when she was going to parties and bars at 9?
I was never with her at bars at 9, but I would go with her to parties. There were a lot of industry functions and then private social/business functions. And when we got there, we would stay together for time. Then she would go her way and I would go my way.
Okay, first off, she claims that she was...
Yeah, she talking like her daughter is grown. Like, she go her way and I go my way. We just went to the party together and stuff. But she talks like she's a adult or whatever. For the ask about it. So let's try to get into what type of person her mom was, and then I get into like what type of relationship they had together. What type of person was Drew mother? Many cards. Okay. These cards are so hard to shuffle. I guess I'll take these. She do seem to be like a very free spirited, trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. And I feel like her mom might even have some form of complex. Like, that card really summarized everything. Like the energy and totality of like she's willing to do anything for fame or whatever she's trying to achieve, because it came out warrior card, but it came out reverse. So she willing to do some strange things for a piece of change. Scribe reverse. Altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. I'm also getting from this that she was low-key in competition with Drew. Jealous at times. Even with men. Like men in the industry. Even as a young girl, she would feel jealous that some of these industry men would pay more attention to Drew than they would to her. This Messiah card, though. This Messiah card is really giving me that religion. It's something about like a religion, a cult, or something. It's something that's in the background, and it gives me the vibe of something that people actually meet up for or have meetings about. It could be some type of book involved, some type of philosophy or something like that. But this is what this giving me the energy of. Like she did, or she the way that she is because she served something that she see as like her God. It's always dangerous when God is external. Fool. Fearlessly revealing emotions, helping people laugh at the absurdity and hypocrisy. And I also felt like she would say any fucking thing to fit in. Like when she get around these people and she see them doing fucked up shit, she would actually justify they fucked up actions for them. Like, you know what? People are too uptight about pedophilia and stuff. People don't understand, like, but I'm different. I do understand. Like I understand how a person could feel this way and yada yada yada. She that type of motherfucker. And a part of it is kind of true, but it's because she's willing to wear any identity to get what she wants. So it's like she say these things, she don't care if she means it or not. Like she would make herself mean it. She will wear it if it fits or if it benefits her. So let's get into the relationship between her and Drew. All right, what was the relationship? Man, I came out quick. Ooh, the Hermit. There ain't really no relationship. Okay. What is the relationship between her and Drew? Overall. Mm. Mm. I feel like they don't even talk to each other now. With this Hermit and the Three of Wands in reverse. Like Drew, I feel like Drew might just be over it. Like she might check up on her mother on Mother's Day or something like that. But it's things that happen that True she just can't let it go. She can't let it go. And I feel like when she tried to talk to her mom about it, she kind of deflects and deny things or act like she don't understand. Anger, revenge, yeah. There was another card that came out earlier that talked about retaliation. Drew might be feeling like it's the time to talk about this shit. It's the time to reveal some truths that had happened to her. Someone's trying to get even with you, loss of material possession, salary, and lawsuit. The moral path was not taken. You're getting a reputation as underhanded, undependable. Recognize your part in your own failure. Accept responsibility for errors. Inability to compromise creates conflict. Yeah, definitely. That summarizes everything. Like, I think that True maybe try to mend a relationship with her mom, but her mom have to take some accountability, and she's just not capable of that. She one of those people that she don't just sweep shit under the rug. I mean, she act like the rug, the hill that is growing under it, doesn't even exist. Like it's invisible. She one of those people. So yeah, they ain't talking, but I think that she might even be struggling with money right now, her mom, and she coming to Drew and being like, help me and stuff like that, because Drew is the star and everything, and being like, help me, you gotta take care of your mother. But her mom didn't take care of her at all. She didn't protect her or nothing. Let's read this card. Bad advice, rejection of your ideals, dreams by others. She might even made Drew feel insecure at times. Decisions made too hastily, unsound business judgment, bad luck sneaks up on you unexpectedly, money or investment may be lost. Withdraw from unimportant arguments, save your strength and energy for the most crucial battles. So yeah, she decided to just not fuck with her mom because she knows she ain't gonna get nowhere. So she's not gonna even fuck with her. That's the energy. That's the vibe.
Never at any bars with Drew. So who was Drew with? And then secondly, she said that
Drew never looked happy with her mom, even as a kid.
she would go her separate ways from Drew at these parties. Keep in mind that Drew was 9 years old. So whatever this mother is doing is not okay. Drew Barrymore wrote this book, Little Girl Lost. And in this book, she details the horrific things she went through during her childhood. So when Drew was 9,
when did she release this? Hold on.
whatever this mother is doing is not okay. Drew Barrymore wrote this book, Little Girl Lost. And in this book, she details the horrific things she went through during her childhood. So when Drew was 9 years old, she was in a movie titled Firestarter. And at the wrap party for this movie, 2 of the film's production team members gave her champagne. She got incredibly drunk and she ended up passing out and waking up on a couch in a bedroom alone. She was at this guy Dino's house, and she doesn't detail anything graphic that went down, but she talks about being extremely uncomfortable waking up there. And keep in mind, she was only 9 years old. So why were these production team members giving this
All right, let's see what happened at that house. I'm gonna use the situation cards. What happened at that house when Drew Barrymore was in Firestarter? Okay, the children card came out. Okay, searching. What happened at that house? What happened at that house? All right, so the card is not really reflecting like my visual per se. That's why see these people like they put cloaks on them. They have people in there like they spiritual as fuck and they know how to put cloaks on people where it make it hard for you to read cards on them. Not everybody do this. But people who's into spirituality in that community doing fucked up shit, they go and they get that shit done. And how these cars is coming out, I feel like he's somebody who did that. He might not even be living now. Let's get some of these. Cause I sometimes hate getting these visuals. I do see somebody touching her on a couch. And it's a window, like a big window near the couch. In a pool. What happened to Drew at the house? I'm getting some visuals, y'all. Man, workaholic, obsessed with success, financially secure, stubborn, argumentative, and relentless, consistently pessimistic, no sense of humor, doesn't believe in wasting time, hard on himself, well educated, and opinionated. It's something strange here. It's something strange. Because I feel like there's some form of contract involved. Like some type of deal. I'm kind of feeling like who house it was may not be the one who was touching her. Like, I feel like it could have been a possibility that she was brung to a house and then they had somebody else come to that house and do what they did. And it's because it's some type of like business contract here. Get that with searching. And also trash, because I'm feeling like whoever house she was over, they might have been in some form of debt or something, and they was trying to pay that off. Yeah.
Champagne. In that same book, Little Girl Lost, she talks about the time that she learns about adult intimacy. She was again only 9 years old when she learned about this, and it was actually at Rob Lowe's 20th birthday party. She was actually given a drink at this party, and she slow danced with a guy named Emilio. At this point, Drew was again only 9 years old, and Emilio was 22 at the time, slow dancing with a 9-year-old girl. In her book, she doesn't outright say that anything happened, but she does note that she was drunk at that party and that her mother didn't do enough to protect her. She also writes in her book about a time when she was 10 years old and she would go out with her friends to clubs and they would try really hard to look hot. Here's a quote from her book. She writes, "We would try especially hard to look very sexy on the dance floor, mimicking perfectly whatever moves we saw the older women make. And believe it or not, despite our age, guys would come on to us all the time. It was understandable. We looked so much older than we actually were. We loved that part. If a guy was cute, we were all over his case, flirting and trying to amuse him, waiting for him to ask one of us to dance. And when the question came, our answer was always the same."
I mean, even if she looked it older, like look how flat chested she is. You could still tell at 9 years old that she ain't old enough. Okay. I know that it's grown women with flat chests, but she looked like a kid. And on top of that, she's popular. She's been in movies and stuff like that. So I'm sure they knew who she was. It wasn't because she looked it older. But yeah, I've been seeing like the visuals that I've been getting. There was a lot of grown men lusting after this little girl. It was a lot of them. And okay, I wasn't sure if I should go into detail about this or not, but I guess I'll go ahead. Like with that dude earlier, like there was a part of Drew that was open to it. Maybe because he made her feel good at times and stuff, but in her young mind, she didn't see the interaction as abuse. Like she could have also believed like, oh, this is my boyfriend at the time. I felt like she had experiences like that with older, much older men when she was like a preteen, and she's dealing with these men and being like, oh, you my boyfriend. You my boyfriend for right now and stuff like that. And she would even act very mature around them. So, but it was like a learned behavior. I feel like it's something that she learned or been told how she should be. Because it's something when she was younger, it was kind of like normalized.
Same. Sure, if you'd get us a drink. So Drew was literally a 10-year-old girl going out to the clubs, worrying about guys and looking hot. And where was her mother this entire time? I mean, honestly, this is a product of Hollywood because they really wanted to strip Drew of her innocence and just violate her in different ways. Any of those guys coming up to Drew in the club probably knew who she was, so they knew her age. And I'm sure you could tell when a 10-year-old old is a 10-year-old. It's not like she was even a teenager yet, so I don't know how anyone would ever mistake her as an adult. But in her same book, Little Girl Lost, she talks about a relationship she had when she was 11 years old. She claims that this relationship went down on the set of Babes in Toyland. This was a project she worked on, and there's a guy named Michael who we believe is the man that she's describing in this book. Nowadays, Michael is a producer, but Drew was 11 when they dated and he was 15 years old. In her book, she claims that he was the first boy to ever call her beautiful and the first boy she ever really made out with. But keep in mind, guys, she was only 11 at the time. When Drew was 10, 11, 12 years old, she had a bunch of different relationships, which probably shouldn't be going down at that age, but that was the situation. And she had another boyfriend type thing when she was 11 years old. In the book, this guy is left anonymous, but he was 18 at the time. After doing some research, we believe that this guy is actually Carlo Ponti Jr. He is the son of Sophia Loren and Carlo Ponti Sr. We were able to figure out that this guy was Carlo because of the way that Drew wrote her book. She wrote that this guy was the older of two sons of an Italian movie producer and a woman who was an actress and a 1960s sex symbol. So after doing some research, it all looks like Carlo is the guy that Drew's talking about. And the reason why Drew brings up this guy in her book is because back when she was 11 years old, they would go and smoke weed together, they would steal his parents' liquor and drink together, they would hang out alone in his room, and his parents...
I keep, boy, I keep getting visuals. But Drew, if you was to come across her when she was a kid, she really embody a grown person. I seen it before when I was younger. It was this one girl I hung out with in middle school. She was very developed, tall, very thick and stuff. She looked it grown. Not the same case as Drew, because Drew, the way her body is shaped at this age and stuff, she's looked very young. But being around this girl, even though we was around the same age, she has such a very mature mindset. The things that she worried about at that time and everything, just a very mature mindset. And her mom was similar to Drew's mom. Like, she could go stay the night at her boyfriend's house and her mom would not care. And stuff like that. But she carried herself like a grown woman. And when I see these visuals of Drew, it's the same way. Like, people that was behind the scenes with her, smoking and drinking with her, like, she gave off this persona like she was a grown woman. It's hard to explain. Not that I'm justifying anything, because it's still fucked up, but I understanding where she's insinuating certain things at, like, you know, she kind of saying like, y'all don't really understand. Like, I carry myself like a grown woman because I had to grow up fast. She did. So she knew how to seduce. She knew how to play certain mind games that grown women do. Like, she knew those things.
Didn't question it. Even when she would get sick because she was so drunk.
She even knew like what men wanted, because like when she was young, she was dealing with people like 20, 30 years old, you know?
they were pretty much all right with it. And keep in mind, only 11 years old at the time. So Drew was really struggling in her early years. At the age of 11 and 12 and 13, she was hanging out at Studio 54 with her mother, who was also her manager, and she was partying and doing drugs. She was doing a whole bunch of things that no young kid should be up to. But by the age of 13, Drew found
I hate when they do this. They force you to do 2 commercials.
At this point, she was struggling with addiction, and Drew said that she felt hopeless. At one point, at the age of 13, Drew did try to take her own life. She cut her wrist and she ended up in the hospital. This landed her some more time in rehab because she needed to deal with the demons that she was battling. Drew did have a rough start when it came to her rehab program. She was in there for only 12 days at first, until she was pulled out because she had a project to work on, which I think is a major mistake that her family and her team made because she clearly needed rehab, but they took her out for the next.
And I think that she wanted it too. She might have wanted the rehab more than the producers and her family did. Like, she wanted help. She wanted to feel better.
1989 film Far From Home. It's about a teenager who gets stranded with her father in a small town in a remote part of the desert. The film itself, Far From Home, didn't really do that well. It got pretty negative reviews, so it really wasn't worth it at the end of the day to pull Drew out of rehab to have her work on this.
They don't care about those reviews. All they care about is that check.
Film. And if you look at the film itself, keep in mind she's only 13 years old here, and she looks like she was dressed like an adult, and she was making out with a man at some point who was 20 years old. So really, there wasn't a great reason to take her out of rehab and make her work in this film. But while she was in rehab, she did meet a boy.
How that's even legal? Can they even do that today? That was 1989. She was 13 and they had her making out with a 20-year-old. They did that a lot back in the day.
And they had a brief relationship. His name was Rick, and we don't know how old Rick was, but we could assume that he was probably a little bit older because they were in a rehab facility and it wasn't made for children. I mean, it was a family facility, but most of the people who were there were part of a family and needed help for their drug addictions, not a lot of 13-year-old girls. In her book, Little Girl Lost, she talks about getting intimate with Rick. And the reason why she talks about getting intimate with him is because after they did the act, he just completely ignored her and acted like nothing happened. So it kind of broke her heart when that happened. She was already in a vulnerable place being in rehab, so the relationship with Rick definitely did not help. When news broke that Drew Barrymore was in rehab, the public didn't take it well. I mean, it was a different time back then.
I'm also hearing that he did that because of things that he heard.
It's not like nowadays where people are very supportive. They actually looked down on Drew and they were like, what is wrong with her? I mean, society.
Yeah. He said it, but before he said it, I was hearing it. At some point, people was very judgmental and critical of her and spreading all types of rumors. And these rumors was like from her childhood, like, and they blame her for it. Not the man that was taking advantage of her, but her.
Looked at her like she was a failure and she was a mess. But when she talks about the rehab program, she's really like proud of her experience there because she truly needed this program to get better.
But you know what? I have to say, I had just come out of being in an institution for a year and a half, and it was a very severe lockdown, like no Hollywood rehab 30-day Malibu beachside bullshit.
Right.
This was, you know, school of hard knocks in the most severe way.
And you're 13.
And I'm 13 to 14, but I swear to God, it's what I needed.
So
I told you, bruh, I'm good, bruh. I don't know. Sometimes I'll be shocking myself, but I'm gonna actually stop it right here. I have some things to go take care of, and then I will come back with a part 2, finish this video. It has been very good so far. I've been really enjoying it, and it's so slow in, I think his name. He did a really good job. So y'all stay blessed, and I will see you soon.